Hey planner friends, how's it going? Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. My name is Ryan and this is A Man with the Plans, and we are back to do another monthly budget here. We're gonna do it for the month of July. And so as it is sort of summer is in full swing here in Minnesota, figured I'd go with some really fun washi that my friend Emily, favorite daughter Emily, I'll kind of leave her link to her channel up there if you want to check her out. But it's this fun like Monstera leaf, very tropical, very sort of lax, lush. Went with some greens here, used my good old trusty Papermate Flare for all you planner friends. But today we're gonna go ahead and do my budget, and I'm actually really excited because some things have occurred that have gotten me kind of rolling on my debt snowball, and I just feel like I'm finally feeling better about where I am with my financial choices. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and sort of flip this over, we'll zoom you all in, and I'll talk a little bit through what's gonna be going on for the month of July. So, it's a 2-paycheck month, so pretty standard for me. Generally my paychecks come down to $1,980 each, which is not too shabby. So basically, really quickly, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I am a single adult living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I have one income, just my own, but I also have my main job and my side hustle. And I am working to pay off over $65,000 in debt, from my car to some credit cards to my student loans. You name it, I probably had it at some point in time. So if you were all excited about that journey and you were fired up about making fiscally smart decisions, go ahead and click that red subscribe button so that you can be a part of this community. We can motivate each other. I love hanging out in the comments, hearing what you guys are focusing on for the month. So go ahead, click that red subscribe button and that notification bell so that you can come hang out with us over here and be a planner friend working towards our financial futures. So now that that's out of the way, I will go ahead and put in here $1,980. Then for my side hustle, I am guessing it should be $500 after taxes. I work for a friend of mine in an online business. We have courses. I'll leave a link to the website down below. It's heyjencasey.com if you're curious. And so basically, I am what's called an integrator. If you guys are curious about my side hustle and want me to talk a little bit about what I do and kind of how I'm able to sort of work 2 jobs and straddle both worlds, you know, I think I can totally do a video on that. Just let me know if you'd be interested, and I will go ahead and do that. So leave a comment down below. The last thing here is I call my transfer. So way back in the day, in 2009 to be specific, my parents said that they would pay for undergrad and that a graduate school would be on my own if I went to a public school. So I did that. I somehow managed to get myself wrapped up in a master's program my final year. So my parents are contributing their portion of my student loan payoff here, which is basically the anticipated minimum payment, and I am going ahead and sort of moving through the Dave Ramsey plan, the baby steps, if you will, and I'm trying to go faster than that. So they made an agreement to sort of work with me and support me, which I really appreciated, but it's also, I'm not sort of using that as a crutch to slow down my payment, so it's just another way to add some fuel to the fire, if you will. So if you total all that up, some real quick math, you get $4,710. Not too shabby. Would have loved to see a 5 at the front. We'll work towards that. But basically how I do this is we have an estimated column. I'll go back in throughout the month and fill in what actually happened with each paycheck, up or down, depending if there's overtime or some other deduction. I believe at the county level, it might be July or August, we get some like time paid out if you elected to do it. So you get, I think, like a full work week of extra hours paid out from your vacation, so that might happen. So that's why I keep the plus or minus, so I can kind of keep a running tab of where I'm over and where I'm under. And so if it's starting to become a trend, like a couple of years ago I really struggled further down here on the expenses with restaurant. Not such a problem in the age of COVID, because I'm not really going out, but you know, I'm able to keep tabs and say, oh boy, this is the second month in a row that you're over by like 25 bucks in blank area. So that's kind of how I like to set it up. I've used other budget kits in the past, but I just decided like keeping it really simple and just kind of using what I've got at home is really the easiest way to do it, especially when I'm trying to squeeze every ounce of income towards my financial goals. So we'll move on down to what part is called the Outgo. Pretty simple, straightforward here. You've got the top ones here up to internet, or what I call the fixed expenses. So those are ones where you enter into an agreement or a contract or it's consistently the same amount every single month. So generally, we don't really use the actual column there. But the ones below that are variable expenses, so gas, groceries, restaurant, personal, YouTube, utilities, Shakeology, and then we'll talk about my New York trip later on. But those expenses may differ from month to month or occasion to occasion, so I like to keep the actual column so I can kind of see how things are changing based on my life that month. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. That's better. So my rent is currently $1,525 a month, and I actually got an email that they were keeping it the same, so that's kind of cool. No complaints out of me, so that's fun. And then my parking is $125 a month. I do believe that's going up by a bit, so we shall see. And then for my insurance, this is my auto insurance. That is $93. I don't know why I decided to add all the zeros in there, but I am. And then my sinking fund. So I have a video on sinking funds. I will leave it linked up over here in the card. But essentially what I do, and actually this is a great month to show you an example of it, I sort of break down what I anticipate some larger expenses throughout the year, and I sort of put money away ahead of time so that when I go ahead and make an expense, like Christmas, for example, you know that Christmas is coming, you know that you need to get your family gifts and your friends gifts, and so I spend a little bit each month putting it away, and then when it's time to go get some presents or go get some food to bring to a potluck or something like that, I'm able to use that, transfer it over, and it doesn't actually have to impact my budget. Christmas does not become something that sends December into a financial tailspin for me now. Things like if you pay your car insurance in 6-month installments, you can prepay it each month and then just transfer it right over, and it's like it didn't really ever happen. That's why I love sinking funds. And so I've set up a Capital One 360 account. I have a link down below if you want to go ahead and sign up for one yourself. But I put $200 in here every single month, because you figure $200 times 12 months, that's $2,400 that I can use throughout the year, depending on where it is, and we'll go into more on the other page. The next thing is my student loan. So this is my student loan. It's a minimum, I'm calling it that, but really what it is it's the amount that my snowball has sort of increased and rolled over from debt to debt. So my current minimum payment, if it were suspended right now because of the current situation, I think it'd be like $460 something. But because I had paid off my car and a couple other smaller credit cards, the minimum payment now has been the same for quite a while, and it's $808.35. And so when COVID started, I had committed to still paying that minimum regardless of whatever happens. And so I also decided I didn't want to originally use my stimulus check towards my student loan. We will talk about that update in a minute, but let's keep moving on for now. So then the last fixed expense here is my internet, which is $79.95, and that's from CenturyLink. Now, for gas. Generally, I spend about $30 for gas, and that's been pretty good unless I'm driving a lot for dance season or something else. This month, I am going out to New York, and I'm going to be driving instead of flying. Partly because I don't feel comfortable flying right now. I don't know why. I know that it's totally safe. But the other reason is if I can work remotely, I've gotten approval, I can work from New York at my parents' house. So I can spend a longer time there. And having my car just makes it easier. It gives me more flexibility to go visit my friends who I went to college with that still live in that town. I have some friends in Connecticut and other places around the area, and there might actually be a little lake vacation visiting some of my relatives up north in northern New York. So, having my car is just gonna make life easier. So I upped my gas expenses to $150. I went on, I think it's gasbuddy.com, I'll leave a link down below, and I tested out what it would look like to fill up the most efficiently from Minneapolis to Long Island, and it says it's gonna be around $96. And so I figured that should get me at least to New York, and then we can consider, tapping into it on the way back, because I don't think I'll use a full, I think it says like 5 fill-ups or something, so we'll see. The next thing is groceries. Because of COVID, I was at like $350 a month. I don't think I'll need that while I'm in New York, because I'll be staying with my family. So I put $200. I'm not really sure what that'll go towards, but hey, you never know, and it's just nice to have it in there, and it already works out that my budget's in the positive anyway, so we're good. Restaurant, I also had increased, and I had that at $200. I'm hoping I can see some of my friends for a picnic or grabbing a coffee or something, and socially distancing in an appropriate way to catch up with people. So I just wanted to build that sort of wiggle room in there, so I felt good about that. The next thing is my personal category, and that's going to be around $300. I'm just not sure what incidentals will be needed for that or something else that comes along. So I just figured if I have the space to do it in my budget this month, then so be it. And then the next thing we have here is YouTube. So these are things like sticker kits or new planners. So I just bought, well, I actually just got, I have it right here, my plum paper planner. So pretty. And so I'm moving into that. So stuff like that, planners, some sticker kits that I got. I actually just got a kit that I have over here. It's from from A Little Spark. It's so cute. It's the like stay-at-home kit. Really, really adorable. So, you know, purchasing stuff like this for the YouTube channel, or eventually saving up for a camera and other stuff like that, all kind of falls into YouTube. And then utilities. So I'm anticipating, because it's going to be warmer, $100. That being said, when I did this, this is the same number as last month. I think because I'll be in New York for an extended period of time, that this actually might be significantly less. So there might be some savings there, which might work itself out if I have to go over and gas her a little bit. You know, they're kind of flexible that way. The last thing on here is my Shakeology order, which actually, that reminds me, I need to sort of get it repurposed and delivered to New York this time instead. It's just a monthly meal replacement that I really, really love. Nothing crazy, but it helps me eat a little bit healthier. And then the last thing here is my New York trip. This, I don't know what belongs in this category, but I figured like tolls or any other things that I can remember. I actually have to stop. The drive is, it's pretty long. I think it's like 20 something hours. So I'm gonna do 12 one day and then finish the rest. So there will be a hotel stay in there at some point. So any sort of item related to this trip, I'm just gonna throw in this category as cushion. I anticipate I won't need all of this, but it makes me feel better knowing I kind of have this off in the wings, right? So if we add up all of the good stuff over here and we subtract that from our total income, we should get sort of our cash flow of what's left over. So our total expenses for the month, well, total income we pulled from down earlier, so let's grab that. It's $4,710. And then if we subtract from this, which is our total expenses, estimated, $4,386.30, we will also have our net cash flow. Left over, if we are exactly on budget, don't make any more in my side job or anything like that, leftover cash for the month would go to $323.70. So despite a ton of extra expenses for the year, Upton gas, New York trip, restaurant, and personal, I still have some wiggle room, which makes me feel really, really good about where we're at financially. The fun thing also is that because of COVID, I mentioned this in my June budget. If you want to watch that one, I'll leave it linked over there. I was only going to pay the minimum payment towards my student loan while it was on deferment. I started sort of saving any extra money I was getting, and I've put together a bit of a nice little nest egg here that will be nice for me once the student loan interest is sort of over and done with. So that's really exciting. The other thing that I did is when I got my stimulus check, I mentioned that I didn't want to put it right towards my student loan debt. At the time, there was lots of conversation around a huge student loan forgiveness bill. And so I said, you know, I'll wait and I'll see kind of what happens. I don't want to be the person that sort of puts the money into the account and then the federal government wipes it all away, and so I have to sort of, you know, burn through my $1,100 that I got from the government. So, that being said, last month I put, the month of June I put $808.35. However, I recently saw that the bill itself had been defeated in some arm of the legislature. And so with it sort of off the table for now, I kind of just decided like, yep, it's time. Let's go ahead and just ramp it up. So I did put my my stimulus check towards my student loans. So my starting balance for the month of July is $8,648.78. So I am so happy with that number. We lost a digit, right? We went from 10,000. I don't know, I feel like I'm at the point now where we're in the home stretch. I can see the finish line getting closer and closer and closer. So starting in July, we'll be at $8,648.78. So then you figure we do $808.35 off of that. That gets us into the 7,000 range, and we'll kind of see how much further we can go from there and see what other money I can find. So, you know, we'll just kind of keep playing it by ear and see where things go. So what I'll do here is, normally with my debt tracker in older videos, there's a whole playlist for Budget With Me. If you want to look at that over there, you're more than welcome to. You can kind of see my journey from where I started all the way back in 2017 and 18 to now. There were multiple debts, and this used to take up almost the entire page. And so the fact that there's only one little debt left makes me really, really happy. So generally, we've got our starting balance. We'll do our ending balance of how we ended the month. Then I like to just calculate how much I put to debt, because normal times there's interest being accrued. So what did I actually throw at this, and what's the actual balance? Just another way to kind of get me riled up and moving forward. So the last thing I do in my budget, and I've already talked about it once, is my sinking fund. So my sinking fund, as I mentioned, is with Capital One 360. And what I like to do is they all sort of sit inside the same fund. They give you a debit card too, which is kind of nifty. So if you want, you can actually go ahead and like swipe that instead. Super convenient. I thought of this actually this afternoon. So what I'm gonna do is how I started the month and then how the sinking fund ended the month. So for example, we'll walk through each of these individually, but I did actually have an expense for car tab. So I'll kind of show you what I'm thinking to see where we go. So basically, I've got 6 major funds that I contribute to throughout the year. We've got medical, car maintenance, my car tabs, which is an annual renewal here in Minnesota. I have travel, and this isn't like, oh, I'm going to Fiji. This is kind of like, I want to have some money squirreled away in the event that something happens that I need to fly home, or, you know, something like that. Go Wild is a conference. Every single year. It was postponed this year, but I have a bunch of vlogs from last year in 2019 if you want to watch those too for you planner peeps. I save for that so that I can save up all year and not really have to worry about kind of what happens next, you know? And last but certainly not least is my Christmas fund. So I currently have been saving to make sure that I can get my family some decent gifts every now and again, because I don't want to show up empty-handed to Christmas. That's no fun. So what I thought about was doing the starting balance, any exciting things that happen, and then our ending balance. So starting the month of July, I'm currently at $300 for my medical fund, which has been pretty much consistent. The nice part is I have decent insurance, so I think that helps certainly. The next is my car maintenance fund, which was at $316.93 from when I had to get my battery replaced, and so now it's back up to $400. My car tabs fund, which I actually just bought, they're due at the end of July, but I went ahead and bought them now so they can kind of wind their way here. So that fund is currently, it's normally supposed to be around $250 when it's topped off, but it's at $36.80. And that I found out is based on the value of your car, so it kind of changes over time and trends downward. So hopefully over time it gets less expensive. My travel sinking fund has now been upped to $500. So if I do go over in a category on my little road trip adventure from Minnesota to New York and back, you know, I do have a cushion here to figure that out. Go Wild went from $750 and now sits at $825, which I think is kind of nice because that's flight and like half of your hotel at this point, which is pretty nifty. And then last but certainly not least, I always feel bad for this column because it is kind of the last thing, so if I funded something else up top, you don't really get a whole lot. We jumped $22 here, so now we're at $743.81. So when you add all of this up, so our total going into the month of July is going to be $2,805.61. So the cool thing about the sinking funds though is that it is interest bearing. It is not a huge APY, like you're not getting money hand over fist like you would. However, what I started doing actually over the weekend is I used to keep my tax savings. So for my side job, obviously I get paid through PayPal and then have to pay taxes on that because it's not like a traditional employment. So what I decided to do is move my tax savings and put it into my sinking fund, so it ups the total amount, and so helps me generate a little bit of extra interest off the side, because it's fine to leave it in PayPal, but the money's not working for you. So I figured if I can just kind of put it over here and let it gain some momentum, you know, no harm, no foul. So the actual total number in this account is actually slightly higher than this. I'm trying to base it on like 30% of my income, and I have a fun little spreadsheet. So if you ever do have a side hustle, I can certainly share that with you if you're curious. Basically, I always want to be making sure I'm keeping something set aside, because you never know what's going to happen. But so that's going to wrap up my budget for the month of July. I feel really, really good about where things are headed, even with a trip. I feel like we're in kind of tip-top financial shape here. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. It does help my little channel out. And again, if you haven't yet subscribed, hit that red subscribe button, please. I greatly appreciate it too. You can find me over on Instagram. I'm at A Man With The Plans. It's pretty straightforward. I'm also over on Facebook at A Man With The Plans, and I've been known to do a giveaway every now and again over there. So go ahead and check those out. Give them a follow. Give them a like. I hopefully try to make videos every once a week. I'm trying to get back into the habit. I am bringing all my filming equipment on my New York road trip. Maybe we'll do a vlog. That could be fun. Let me know too if that sounds like something you'd like me to do. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up this video. I hope you guys have a great month of July. Tell me what you're focusing on for the month of July with your finances. All right, talk to you soon. Bye, planner friends.